Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CEO Sports Show. As you just saw me put my Apple Pen into my iPad there. Good way to start the morning off. It is August 12th, 2025. And on today's episode, we are going to be going over the quarterback tiers list and a big problem that I've just been having with a lot of quarterback lists just in general recently. And I also want to go over the New York Giants and why I think that they're actually like kind of a team that you have to pay attention to this upcoming season. And I do also want to talk about, I completely forgot the third topic there. I will figure that out in just 1 second. Yeah, I want to talk about, I can't even believe I just forgot that. Cam Ward. I want to talk about Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans and his opening debut. So without further ado, please make sure, by the way, to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Make sure to subscribe to all of these shows on the Kretschman Media platform. I would greatly appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get into the quarterback tiers list that The Athletic just posted. And the big problem that I have just with this list and a lot of lists that I've been seeing. Dak Prescott outside of the top 10. I don't get that. Dak Prescott, to me, is absolutely a top 10 quarterback in this game. Here's my problem with a lot of quarterback lists out there. People will be afraid to put Dak Prescott in their top 10 because they say, oh, well, his playoff performances aren't that good. Well, okay, if we're going to bring up playoff performances to take Dak Prescott out of the top 10, Lamar Jackson's got to be out of that top 3. Justin Herbert's got to be out of that top 5. And that is my big problem with these lists, is that that's the thing that's held against Dak Prescott. And that's the standard for him. So we should hold that same standard for other quarterbacks as well. If other quarterbacks struggle in the playoffs as well, they should be held to that same standard. Because when I look at Dak Prescott, he has the body of work that makes you say top 10 quarterback. He has the consistency that makes you say top 10 quarterback. He has the skill set that makes you say top 10 quarterback. His ability to elevate the players around him and his team around him makes you say top 10 quarterback. I don't care where you have him ranked in the top 10. If it's number 10, fine. I can live with that. But he is in the top 10. He is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the game. You're not telling me Baker Mayfield, who had one season of high-level play this past season, is better than Dak Prescott. I'm not hearing that. Jared Goff, a guy who is as good as the pieces around him are, he's not going to elevate your team. He is a guy that if your team is great, he can play great. If your team is mediocre, he's going to be mediocre. But Dak Prescott is a guy that when he has a mediocre team, he can make them good. When they're good, they're great. That's the type of quarterback Dak Prescott is. He is a guy who elevates the talent around him, and he has done that, especially throughout the past few years here. I mean, you talk about the fact that they had a top 5 offense in 2022 with Noah Brown as their number 2 receiver. They were number 1 in the league in points per game in 2021 and 2023. This guy has led some very, very high-powered offenses. And these aren't offenses that you look at and say, wow, that's like the Philadelphia Eagles offense when you talk about how talented they are. That's just not the case. He's had some good offensive pieces. 2021, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, that was a good wide receiver unit. But I think the problem that I have with people and how they look at that specific unit is that I think they look at that unit and say, we'll look at Amari Cooper as, look at Amari Cooper in his prime, and he had CD. Look at CeeDee Lamb in his prime. No, CeeDee Lamb was a second-year player still developing. Amari Cooper, yes, was, I would say, slightly exiting the prime of his career in 2021. But even still, I kind of think Amari Cooper is an overrated receiver. Like, he was like fringe top 10 guy, but he's not like Jamar Chase or any of these top receivers. He was just a very solid receiver that was an upgrade from what the Cowboys had when they had absolutely no receivers when they traded for him. So that's it's just my big problem that I think people and their perception of Dak Prescott is, well, he's had all these loaded rosters, but he's never been able to get it done. But at the same time, they'll talk about how bad of a general manager Jerry Jones is. I personally do not understand that. We all agree that Jerry Jones is not serious about winning a Super Bowl, right? So everybody agrees with that, but yet the guy who receives the most criticism, I feel like, is the quarterback that I feel has actually bailed that franchise out. He has been the model of consistency within a franchise that is completely unstable, that is in the news all the time. He handles it as well as anybody can handle that situation. And granted, that is not a part of the evaluation. And that's kind of like one thing that annoys me when we talk about quarterback evaluations. We talk about things that aren't related to the quarterback. But I'm just saying those are things that you do have to take into consideration when you look at Dak Prescott. His job is a lot different than Justin Herbert's job. Justin Herbert can go out there and throw, 2 interceptions in a game, and it doesn't get talked about nearly to the extent that Dak Prescott does because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. And whether you want to admit it or not, it's fine. You don't have to admit the truth. But the truth is, people talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They are the number one team in the sport when it comes to engagement. That's just a fact. Not saying they're the number one team in terms of talent or accomplishments, because they're not, but they are the number one team in the league when it comes to engagement and people talking about them. They're the most talked about team in sports. And I feel like Dak Prescott has handled that extremely well. And I think he deserves credit for that. But like, even when you look at the evaluation side of things, right? I mean, when you look at his skill set, accurate, extremely good footwork, pre-snap reads are fantastic, does a really good job getting his team in and out of plays, really, really does a good job of manipulating defenses and moving safeties and defensive backs with his eyes. I mean, and that's the thing, right? I don't think people actually properly rate some of the things that he can do, right? Like, if Justin Herbert made some of the throws that Dak makes, and I'm not saying that like Justin Herbert can't, but I'm just saying if he did, people would go all over social media. Oh my God, look at Justin Herbert. Look at this amazing throw. And I am a Herbert fan, so that's not Herbert slander. But I mean, that you talk about the Steelers, he had that seam ball to Kevontae Turpin where he looked off the safety, and even Mike Tomlin brought it up like, wow, that was a really good play. He had that throw on the sideline against the Steelers. It was 3rd and 14. They were backed in their own, I think it was their own 14. He delivers the ball down the field to CeeDee Lamb between two defenders right on the sideline. Absolute dot. Like, I just don't feel like he gets the type of credit he gets for doing some of the things that he does. This guy can make some ridiculous throws, some flat out ridiculous throws. And he has had seasons where, again, like, what you're getting from Dak Prescott. He has to play better in the playoffs, but I also think the team needs to play better in the playoffs, and the coaches need to be better in the playoffs. And that's kind of another thing that I don't think people take into consideration, is that when you look at this guy's play callers, I mean, you're talking about Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan, Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy. Like, these guys aren't sought after commodities. I know Kellen Moore just got a head coaching job, but I think anybody who watched the tape of the Eagles offense last year comes away from that saying they were kind of basic. I mean, because that's what Kellen Moore does. Like, that's like kind of his thing, right? I actually think sometimes his creativity gets him into danger, but that's besides the point. That's where I don't want to get off on a tangent there. But overall, to sum up the point, when you talk about the quarterback position, you have to talk about consistency. Dak Prescott has been consistent. You have to talk about the skill set. Dak Prescott has a very, very good skill set. You have to talk about the fact about quarterbacks elevating what's around them. Dak Prescott elevates what's around him. And when you look at those main pillars of the quarterback position, Dak Prescott checks all of those boxes. He is a top 10 quarterback. Again, I don't care where you have him ranked in your top 10, but he is in that top 10. And I don't understand what executives are looking at when they say that Jared Goff is a better quarterback than him. Jared Goff in no world is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I'm not hearing that conversation at all. I don't want to get off on another Jared Goff tangent because I will, I will lose it just like I did last week when I talked about Jared Goff. And a team that I want to talk about, kind of underrated. I mean, they're getting underrated for a reason, to be honest with you. That's the New York Giants. Now, the way I look at the New York Giants, by the end of the season, I think a lot of people are going to look at this team and say they were better than what their record said they are, because their record this year, or their schedule this year, is flat out brutal. But I think when you look at this football team, there are some very interesting pieces on this team. When you look at this defense, I mean, this is one of the best defenses in the game. Like, their defensive line is one of the best units in football. I mean, you talk about Dexter Lawrence, who I thought would have been the defensive player of the year last year if he would have stayed healthy. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, that is an absolute unit right there. They're going to be able to get after the quarterback in New York, and their pass rush is going to be scary this upcoming year. And then, like, when you look at the other pieces on their defense as well, I mean, they added Paulson Adebo this year. They added Javon Holland at safety. They have Drew Phillips, Deontay Banks, who hope that he can be a little better this year. Tyler Nubin, like Micah McFadden, Bobby Okereke. I mean, I don't think they have a single like below average player on their defense. Everybody, I think, is average to great on that defense, on that starting unit. And that's why I think that, they will be very interesting, and they will give teams a hard time because of the fact that, they're going to be able to play some really good defense. Now, to be honest with you, what really worries me about this football team is that I don't think Russell Wilson's good. I think Russell Wilson is a below average to like bad starter. Like I watched him when I was watching George Pickens tape, and wow, I can see why George Pickens crashed out in Pittsburgh, because he's not good. But they do have Malik Neighbors there, who is an exciting young player who, he could take that leap into, hey, I'm a top 5 receiver. I mean, that's how good Malik Neighbors is. That's how good he could be this upcoming season. And, they probably do need a guy opposite of Malik Neighbors. It's already too late. They're not going to be able to really add that. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson's pretty good. Darius Slayton, that's a guy. I think their offensive line will be a little better this year than it was last year. But I just think that they have a really bad break with this schedule. And I mean, when you look at this schedule, let me Google that real quick, because I look at that schedule and I don't see many wins on that schedule. I mean, you go Commanders week 1, I'd go Commanders. Cowboys week 2, Cowboys. Chiefs week 3, Chiefs. Chargers week 4, I'd go Chargers. Saints week 5, I'd go Giants. So they're 1-4 there. Eagles. I mean, like you just look at the schedule. I don't see many wins on it's an extremely difficult schedule. And I kind of feel bad for Joe Shane and Brian Dable that they're in this situation, because I think Brian Dable is a good coach. And, this might be a little bit of a hot take here, but I think Joe Shane's a good general manager. I think that he's done some good things as the general manager. I get it, the Saquon stuff. I understand why the New York Giants moved on from Saquon Barkley, because at the end of the day, Saquon Barkley wasn't going to help this team get to the playoffs or be a respectable football team. If anything, Saquon Barkley would have hurt their draft stock. They wouldn't have ended up with Abdul Carter if they had Saquon Barkley. That's the reason why I look at that move and I say, all right, I understand it. I know Giants fans are upset about it because Saquon Barkley went from the Giants to the Eagles and was a big piece in them winning a Super Bowl. But like, you can't live in that world. You have to do what's best for your football team. And you don't want to be in the business of paying running backs. That's why I completely back Joe Shane on that move there. And what did they do with that money? They moved on from Saquon Barkley and they got Brian Burns, who's a very good edge. Edge is a much more important position than running back. I would prefer to pay an edge than I would a running back, because they just have more impact on the game. And you can isolate them, and edges make more of an impact, because with the running back, you need more pieces around you. Like Saquon Barkley wasn't Saquon Barkley from this year in New York. Now, he was excellent in 2022, but at the same time, he wasn't the 2,000-yard rusher that we saw in Philadelphia in New York because New York didn't have the offensive line to help him get to that point. So I think that the Giants, they made the right decision there, and unfortunately, it just didn't work their way because he went to a rival team. But they weren't good last year at all. They got the 3rd overall pick, and they picked a guy who I think, Abdul Carter, he could be one of the best defensive players in football for a long time here. I mean, he could. That game the other day was extremely impressive that he had. And I mean, would they be in that position to draft Abdul Carter if they had Saquon Barkley? I don't think they would be. Now, it sucked for them because they weren't in a position to draft, Cam Ward, who is, let's be honest, that's who they wanted. But Jackson Dart, he had a pretty decent preseason debut. Maybe Brian Dable can coach him up to be a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, I'm not there yet. I wasn't a huge Jackson Dart fan myself, but maybe they saw something there. Maybe Brian Dable saw something in Jackson Dart and said, hey, maybe if I bring this guy into my program, maybe I can develop this guy. And look, I will say this. If Jackson Dart works out for the New York Giants, that's going to set that football team up for years to come. Because when I look at this roster, like I said, this is a really good roster that they have. And if they can get a young quarterback that's on a rookie contract that they can now spend money on other positions to help him out, that is going to be huge for that team. And I mean, that to me is really what's going to potentially make the Giants Super Bowl contenders in, a few years here, is if Jackson Dart can be a legit starting quarterback. Now you can spend money to improve your offensive line. You can add a receiver opposite of Malik Neighbors. You're probably not going to have a good draft, or you're probably going to have a good draft pick this year. So you're going to be able to get another impact player. And it really is, to me, a shame that, Joe Shane might be leaving after this year, because I do think he has done some pretty good things with this team. The idea of what he's trying to do, it's sound, right? You build on both sides of the ball. It's unfortunate they missed on Evan Neal. Kayvon Thibodeau wasn't the player that they thought he would be. I mean, he still is a good player, but they drafted Abdul Carter. They traded for Brian Burns. They paid Dexter Lawrence. They did some sound things. They improved their offensive line, or at least tried to. I do think what they were trying to do was a lot of the things were the right decisions. It's just, unfortunately, they just didn't work out for that team. So, that's where I look at that and I say, it's just unfortunate there. But I want to, before we move on to the next topic, I want to make sure that you guys subscribe to this page. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like the stream. I would greatly appreciate that. Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I would greatly appreciate that as well. I love engaging with you guys, and all comments and feedback are appreciated. And even if you want to say, hey, you're an idiot, you want to know what? You're probably right. So you could probably put that in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to the Mic Drop and the Stadium Pulse as well. Links to that are on the page. We're going to put that in the description box below. And let's get into this last topic. So I want to talk about Cam Ward, because he did have his preseason debut the other day. I wasn't overly impressed with Cam Ward's preseason debut, but that to me doesn't matter. I am very confident that this young man is going to be a legit starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't love some of the things that he does out of structure and some of the positions that he puts his team in when it comes to turning the football over and making some questionable decisions. But I believe that'll be fixed, because I believe in the man that Cam Ward is. I believe in the leader that Cam Ward is. I believe that he's going to take the NFL coaching and he is going to adjust his game into being a legitimate starting quarterback, because there are some things to like. When he throws the ball with anticipation, It looked very good. It looked like he was in a rhythm. He was money throwing the ball to Calvin Ridley. I love his poise in the pocket. Nothing seems too big for this young man. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I think that, look, I don't love his game the way it is right now, but I think he could develop. I think he's going to take this NFL coaching, and I think he's going to be a fantastic leader for this team, a fantastic quarterback for this team. And to me, even though there are some things that I didn't like about his game, to me, he's as safe of a number one overall pick as you're going to get because of the man that he is, because of the mentality that he has. His competitive nature, to me, is on the same level as Kevin Garnett. That's the type of leader he is, right? Everybody has their different leadership styles. To me, Cam Ward reminds me so much of Kevin Garnett. And that's, to me, a great comparison because Kevin Garnett, to me, is one of the greatest leaders of all time. And if that young man can be that, man, that's going to be something for that organization. You know, I talked about some of the things that I liked that I saw on tape. His poise, it doesn't look too big for him. The NFL game, it doesn't look too fast for him. It looks like he's under control. I was a big fan of that. Like I said, when he threw the ball with anticipation, it looked good. He hit his back foot, delivered the football on time, was able to deliver the ball with touch as well. So you like to see that money targeting Calvin Ridley. So that's going to be a connection that I'm very interested in seeing. And I mean, smart for Cam Ward because that is the best receiver on their team. And I mean, it's not even really close, to be honest with you. So, hey, my best receiver, he'll probably be open. It's never a bad way to look at that. But the cons that I had, he could do a better job throwing with anticipation. That's one thing I do want to see. Now, granted, it is his first game. It's his first game. So, it's not all going to be there, right? I would like to see him deliver the ball prior to I think it was a mesh route that they were running or mesh concept that they were running. I would like to see him as soon as that receiver is about to cross the face of the linebacker, deliver the football, right? It's he crossed the face of the linebacker for a second and a half, and then he delivers the football. That's kind of the thing that I saw there. He almost did throw an interception there. He was trying to put the ball into a soft spot between two defensive backs. He tried to put the ball in a soft spot, and he almost threw an interception. I mean, the ball was right in the defensive back's hands. And I think he could do a better job with pocket presence. There was a play that he had where, he left the pocket, but he could have just, remaneuvered his feet to a different spot in the pocket. There was pretty decent protection on the play. So that, to me, again, it's all week one of preseason. Yeah, there's flaws in his game, but I knew that there were flaws in his game when he was coming out of Miami, and I was still okay with him being the number one overall pick because I think that the floor for Cam Ward, I don't think it's low. I think it's a good floor, right? And I think his ceiling might not be Josh Allen, any of those guys, but can he be a high-end tier 2 quarterback? Yeah, I think Cam Ward could be a high tier 2 quarterback. When you talk about guys in that 5 to 8 range, can Cam Ward eventually be that? Yeah, no doubt about it in my mind. I mean, that's the type of player I think he could be. What can he do his rookie season? I mean, I'm not gonna put too many expectations on this young man his rookie season because the team around him, I'm not in love with this Titans team. I don't think they're that good of a football team around him. And that's kind of the thing, right? To me, I think the Titans, year one with Cam Ward, they just need to see if they have a quarterback. They need to see, if Cam Ward has a Drake May rookie season, I feel great about that. And if I'm the Titans, I'm saying, okay, he showed that he can be a productive quarterback. Now let's build around him. Now let's put everything we have into building a great team around this young man. And I think that, if he does show that, that's where it's like, okay, the clock's ticking. Because that's the thing to me. If rookie year, you get the sense that this is your franchise quarterback, I don't care if it's the Titans, I don't care if it's any team. You look at that and you say, oh, we are on the clock. We're on the clock. We got to put the best team we could possibly put around this quarterback. And I think that, Titans with new front office, I hope that they have that mindset that if they see it from this kid, go, go, go. Because that Super Bowl window, it opens and it closes. It opens for a little bit and then it closes, especially with these quarterbacks on rookie contracts. That's when you can put the best possible team around these quarterbacks. Like, you're on the clock at that point. So, I mean, overall, I'm super high on Cam Ward. I really am. I know it kind of sounded like I, beat up on him a little bit in my evaluation, but look, it's preseason week 1. He's going to continue to get better and better and better. And one thing I like about him as well, did you guys see when he walked into the game what he was wearing? He was just wearing, a Titans jacket, some shorts, some white socks, black shoes. He doesn't care. I mean, that's his demeanor. Spotlight ain't on me. We're not going to put any unnecessary attention on this team. It's funny, like the difference between him and Shador, and this isn't a Shador, hate comment. Shador walks into his game against the Panthers. He's got an entourage with him. All eyes on me. That's kind of the way that he carried himself. Cam Ward, just the complete opposite. Just, I'm going in the locker room. Rookie first game, man, is what it is. And that's the guy he is. Like, it's so funny because somebody said that Cam Ward has been the least talked about number 1 overall pick. And I think that is the most accurate statement that I've heard. But the reason why I think he hasn't been talked about that much is because he hasn't given people, and this is a good thing, like, because he is a rookie quarterback, he hasn't given people much to talk about. He's not in the news. He's not, doing things off the field that make you talk about him. Not being talked about, that's a good thing for a rookie quarterback. Now, year from now, you want people to be talking about him. And the reason why you want people to be talking about him is because you want people to say, wow, the Tennessee Titans have a quarterback, and you got to look out for that football team, right? Like, that's how it's got to be. But going into your rookie season, it's not a bad thing, people not talking about you. So, yeah, Cam Ward, I wish him the best of luck. I'm a big fan of his. And, I'm really hoping that works out for Tennessee. So that's going to be it for the episode. Thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. Please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Make sure to check out the mic drop at 10 a.m. Eastern time with Benjamin Garcia. Make sure to go check out the Stadium Pulse tonight with Tegan Randolph at 6 o'clock. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next episode.